Here's what's making news now around Indiana, brought to you by your Indiana Fever. Well, developers of the $440 million Electric Works Innovation District in Fort Wayne can now take the next step toward securing funding for the project. The Fort Wayne Redevelopment Commission has approved an economic development agreement between the city and RTM Ventures, which will provide about $62 million in public funding. 3 Indiana businesses are included in Fortune magazine's 2018 list of the 100 fastest growing companies in the country. 2 Elkhart-based companies, Patrick Industries and Thor Industries, are on that list, as well as Fishers-based First Internet Bancorp. The list features public companies with market cap of at least $250 million. And the South Bend Cubs and Four Winds Field have been selected as hosts for the 2019 Midwest League All-Star Game. The city last hosted the event 30 years ago. The presenting sponsor will be Four Winds Casinos, which opened its first Indiana location in South Bend at the beginning of the year. And Holiday World and Splash and Safari in Santa Claus has again received 2 awards presented by an industry publication. The 2018 Golden Ticket Awards from Amusement Today went to Holiday World for the cleanest park, that for the 19th consecutive year, and to its Wildebeest for the top water park ride for the 9th year in a row. Well, as one of the leading employers in southwest central Indiana, Naval Support Activity Crane provides a huge economic impact on the region and the state. And continued investment into the World War II era base are aimed at ensuring future success. Our Behind the Gates of Crane series continues this week with a look at its economic impact. Naval Support Activity Crane covers nearly 100 square miles of wooded southern Indiana terrain, making it 40% larger than Washington, D.C. Its 3,000 buildings, 500 miles of roads, and 90 miles of active rail support one of Indiana's most dynamic economic engines.
It's a rather large installation with a variety of tenants. We like to think of it as Team Crane. And at Team Crane, we have roughly 5,500 employees that come on base each day. That is a makeup of both the civilian employees, our contractors that are seated on Crane, and the active military. All told, we do a little over $2 billion annually in terms of economic impact, with a significant portion of that being spread across the state's economy here in Indiana. We like to say that we have an economic impact of $2 million a day to the state's economy.
Which is substantial. You mentioned the employee numbers. Interesting that the vast majority of those employees are non-military, right? They're just a small number of actual military personnel here.
Yeah, that's correct. When you look across the country, there's a variety of different defense labs like Crane, and often is the case, it's inverse, where you have a higher concentration of active duty military, where here it's much more civilian focused, where we take an opportunity to focus on delivery of the technology and weapon sensors that help our warfighters accomplish their mission.
One of Crane's biggest challenges is keeping a World War II era complex relevant in a rapidly changing technology-dependent economy. Tens of millions of dollars of investment in flexible manufacturing offer promise for the future.
The facilities being built in World War II is making those around 75 years old at this point, and so we have a strong initiative to modernize those facilities. And each of our modernization efforts focuses on whole building renovations of those facilities. A few things we like to look at to reinvest in our people as well as our facilities is we're looking at safety and quality of work environment improvements in those modernizations to ensure that there is an inherent risk with working with ammunition, and so we want to ensure we're doing everything possible in those buildings to promote the safety of our employees and get them home safe to their families every day. Another thing we look at in our modernization is the flexibility of our manufacturing. We don't want to paint ourselves into a corner for what ammunition is today, but when we look at modernizing facilities, we're looking at what might come in the future and ensure that those facilities are designed that way. And that basically ensures the lethality and the readiness of our soldiers to bring them home safely as well.
Kyle, you talk about big numbers when it comes to employees here, but I think it's interesting to note that been in hiring mode here for the last number of years and have actually hired a number of people.
Yeah, that's true. So we're very much a demand-driven organization, and with our market verticals that we've developed in strategic missions, electronic warfare, and expeditionary warfare, we've seen real strong demand in each of those three areas. Over the last 5 years, was sharing that we've actually hired 1,450 NSWC Crane employees, and when you look at our top-line growth over that same 5-year period, it's just over 429 employees to be precise that we've brought on board. And these are very well-educated scientists, engineers, and highly skilled technicians. So a great next generation kind of workforce to be working here at Crane for many years to come.